If I had $1 for every time RAM pricing shot up, I still wouldn't have enough money to afford a single 8GB stick of DDR4. RAM pricing has been steadily trending into the stratosphere over the past year or two, and if it wasn't for GPU prices going more ham recently than 10 pigs in a blanket made out of 10 other pigs, it'd be the biggest issue facing new system builders. But unlike the GPU pricing and stock issues, which can be largely traced back to crypto mining, the reasons for the RAM price increase are a little harder to pin down. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at just how bad prices have gotten, investigate why they are as bad as they are, what's being done to rectify the issue, and when will we finally be able to justify buying some lit RGB RAM again. And for everybody who's wondering, yes, I am in a closet. We are traveling throughout the United States right now. We will be back in South Africa relatively soon, but unfortunately everywhere we're traveling, you know, different filming scenarios, this is the best I can do with where we're at right now. So thank you guys for sticking with me. Smash the like button if you enjoy the random scenario scenery that, like, there's nothing I can do about it. This is the best place for me to film, so you guys get a video in a closet. Let's do it. First, we need to understand just how bad the situation actually is. And in order to do that, it's as simple as hopping online, where you'll find that the RAM kit that you've been eyeing for a while is going for almost double what it's actually worth. Like that 16GB G-Skill Trident ZRGB 3000 MHz RAM that Tank has had on his wish list for about a year in the hopes that its price would drop sometime soon. Sucks to be you, Tank. That particular kit, according to PC Part Picker, could be found for just under $150 in February of last year and routinely goes for $240 now. That's a $60 price increase in just 1 year, and it's still low compared to other kits. G-Skill's Ripjaw 16GB 2x8 DDR4 3000 kit originally sold for $100 in 2016 and then maxed out at $255 in November of last year. Pricing has gone down a little recently, with the kits currently selling at $225, but even at that price, you're looking at an increase of 125% over what they were at launch. That's a better return than you can expect on most investments. Other than the general stock shortages caused mostly by miners, some outlets and market insiders are also expecting the RAM price to increase to affect the GPU market, adding another $20 or so to their already massively inflated prices. So who or what's to blame here? Well, as with most situations like this, it's primarily a supply and demand issue. Yes, we are going back to Economics 101, and I am Professor Brett. We demand more and more RAM for our various devices, and manufacturers are struggling to meet that demand, also known as supply it. Along with servers and massive data centers that eat up DRAM by the truckload, the mobile market is currently believed to be one of the biggest culprits. All of the major smartphone makers are stuffing more RAM than ever into their devices, and they're willing to pay top dollar for it, while other smaller companies often have to make do with whatever's left, which includes most PC hardware companies. Another, more sinister factor that might be driving up RAM prices is big players pulling a fast one. According to reports, China's NDRC, National Development and Reform Commission, has started seriously looking into price fixing within the DRAM market. Price fixing essentially boils down to all of the major memory producers coming together and agreeing not to supply memory below an agreed upon price. If price fixing is indeed a factor here, it's a pretty scaly move, but not one we haven't seen before. Many major memory manufacturers, including Samsung and Hynix, have admitted to being involved in DRAM price fixing to some extent in the past, so it's possible we might be seeing that happen again. And with there only being a small number of producers out there, price fixing wouldn't be too hard to accomplish. That being said, the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, and the simplest explanation for high DRAM prices right now is one we talked about earlier, which is supply and demand. Price fixing is a whole political game, and then accusations get thrown around. There's mudslinging, there's lack of information. It's just hard to go there, but there's precedent in the market for it before, so it could be that it's happening again. But like it or not, the PC gaming market just isn't a priority to the companies that actually produce DRAM. So whatever stock there is goes to the highest bidder first, and whatever space they have on the manufacturing floor goes to the highest bidder, and the manufacturer of your favorite RAM kit isn't willing to pay for it. Okay. The situation totally sucks. We get it. So is there no hope for those of us looking to pick up a stick of RAM without needing to dip into the food fund? Well, actually, there are quite a few reasons to be hopeful, actually. Firstly, it seems like the RAM price rocket ship is about to slow down significantly. DRAM Exchange, one of TrendForce's research divisions, believes we've seen the last of the massive price spikes this year. According to the researchers, we saw PC DRAM prices go up around 50% in 2017, but they expect that number to drop to about 5% in the first quarter of this year and only 3 to 5% in the second quarter. The researchers cite a few reasons for this, including weaker than expected demand for smartphones, because who needs a flagship every freaking year, and expansion and reallocation of production capacity. DRAM Exchange also claims that Samsung is signing a memorandum of understanding with the same National Development and Reform Commission of China that you'll remember from earlier are investigating the DRAM price fixing rumors. DRAM Exchange states that the MOU could lead to increase in production and keep prices increases somewhat in check. According to the researchers, the MOU will first impact mobile DRAM pricing directly, which will make suppliers shift the production capacity from mobile DRAM to other memory products with higher gross margins. Therefore, the price increases of other memory products will be moderated as well. Yes, I did screw up how I said memory there. I'm just going to move on with it. And while we're on the topic of production capacity, various reports from last year claim that Samsung has set plans into motion to significantly ramp up its DRAM output. The reports explain that Samsung is in the process of converting some of its 2D NAND flash production lines to DRAM lines, and that mass production should kick off in the first quarter of this year, which we're at the last month of the first quarter, so we could see it soon. And while steps like these are likely to alleviate quite a bit of the strain on the tight DRAM supply, it's likely gonna take quite a while for everything to normalize. Which brings us to our next point of order. When the heck will we be able to afford decent RAM prices again? It's the only question that really matters here. But unfortunately, the shorter answer is that no one knows for sure. Memorandums, production increases, lower demand, nothing that's been set into motion to help things get back to normal are quick fixes. Increases in production and focus shifting from mobile DRAM to server and PC DRAM production will take time to go into a full effect. And even if everything goes according to plan and stock does start flooding back in, it'll take even more time before we start seeing any noticeable impact on RAM pricing. Many sources online are pointing towards the second half of this year to be when prices start heading downwards, but that even seems a little optimistic. From where we're standing, DRAM Exchange's predictions seem more realistic. The RAM pricing situation will continue to get worse, although at a much slower rate, before it really starts getting any better. We'll probably only see prices make a U-turn starting sometime next year. Sucks. But while it's good to know that things will eventually get better, that doesn't mean much to people who need to get their hands on decently priced RAM modules right now. If RAM is the only part you need to get your new system up and running, or you just need one more 8GB stick to really run your new game the way it was meant to be run, what can you do? Well, luckily there are a few less than desirable options you could consider other than just paying whatever current market rates dictate. The first thing you can try is to scour the secondhand market for the kit that you want. RAM is probably one of the least scary things to buy used. RAM modules are hardy pieces of tech that very rarely fail, and even if they do, most manufacturers offer lifetime warranties with their kits. This means that unless you're extremely unlucky or don't do your due diligence, you'll almost always get what you're paying for. Unfortunately, you can't expect those selling their kits on the used market to not know what the gear is worth. They know that you're not exactly spoiled for choice in the current market, and that as long as they charge around $20 less than retail, people will snatch it up in a heartbeat. But still, beggars can't be choosers, and if you can find a used kit at a semi-reasonable price, you should likely jump on it because the new market's not going to get any better anytime soon. It sucks to recommend that as your best option. And another slightly less ideal solution would be to take a hard, long look at just how much RAM you really need right now. Does your gaming system really need another 8GB sticks? Will your video editing really go all that much smoother with 64GB of RAM? I mean, the answer to both of those questions is probably yes, but at current prices, you'd do well to stick with lower capacity sticks for now. Just getting the absolute minimum RAM for your system to do what it's supposed to is the way to go. If you need more RAM sometime down the line, you can always upgrade when prices do go down. Which brings us to the most frustrating but most sensible thing you can do if you have no interest in spending a third of your budget on RAM alone. Wait it out. No matter how bleak the situation seems right now, there's light on the horizon at least. It's not close, it's far out. And anyways, everything we've seen and read online is pointing to the RAM price gouging coming to an end sometime relatively soon, so practicing some patience here, especially if you'll be buying more than 2 modules at a time, is probably the way to go. All of that being said, if you know you're definitely going to have to buy RAM really soon and the used market isn't an option, it might be time to pull the trigger and just go full retail. As we discussed earlier, there's a large chance that RAM pricing will continue to go up throughout this year, and if you can't wait for the real price drops to come after that, it might be better to buy at a premium right now, because you don't want to pay an extra 5% in a few months, even if it means that your wallet is going to be taking a bit of a beating. But yes, my friends, it's a phenomenally bad time to be in need of RAM right now, and even though there might be hope for us yet, we're still a long way off from normal pricing. It's an especially regrettable situation for the PC gaming market. One of the largest factors that dissuades consumers from going all in to build a gaming rig is the cash required to build one that truly outmatches silly consoles. GPU pricing has already made that all but impossible, and with the continued rise of the price of RAM, I wouldn't blame anyone for spending their cash on a PS4 Pro or an Xbone X. What makes the whole situation even worse, or at least feel like it is the fact that there isn't really just one thing to lay the blame on. We have nowhere to stick our pitchforks. With the GPU stock crisis and subsequent price carpet bombing, we at least knew that massive crypto mining farms and the like were primarily to blame. The RAM situation, not so much. All we know is that the companies that produce the chips have dropped the ball, and there's nothing anyone can do to make a difference right now. You can't just start up your own fab to make RAM. You don't have enough investment capital, random commenter on my videos. I'm sorry, no big player is going to come into the RAM market anytime soon because it requires billions of dollars and tons of research. So stop with that comment, please. I know when I say stop with that comment, everybody's just gonna comment with it anyways. All we can hope for is that the companies that are producing RAM learn from this and ensure that it'll never happen again, which is not likely to happen. But of course, being able to charge more for the same chips now than they did a year ago is a very tempting prospect. So if it did happen again, we wouldn't, exactly be #shocked. But where are you on all of this? Have the gigantic RAM prices affected you personally at all? Are you suspicious about potential price fixing with regards to production? Let me know your thoughts either down in the comments or over on Twitter. I'm at UFDisciple. Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this RAM pricing examination piece, and get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. And if you're looking to pick up RAM in this terrible pricing climate, you can use our Amazon affiliate code in the description to help us out. Anyways, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.